Hey everybody, Jo here. Thanks for popping in. How are you doing today? I hope you're well. Got something exciting to play with today. So look, the new Lavinia calendar for 2024 is out. Fabulous. I promised I would let you know as soon as they came out. And this year we've got it in plenty of time so that we can create this if we want to create them for gifts for people. I've got to be honest, I love having one for myself. So my suggestion is, if you want to create one as a gift for somebody, I would buy a spare and have it for yourself, because it's very hard giving them away. And I'm speaking from experience. When you've created these lovely pages, you just want to keep it. So this is our one for 2024, as I say. So for the next few weeks, few months, I'm going to be creating pages in mine. Now, please don't switch off if you don't want to do a calendar. Because the designs that we do can just as easily go on cards, they can go on journal pages. You know, I always say this, don't pigeonhole designs, just enjoy. There might be a little tip you get from the design, or a little part of it you think, oh, I'm going to use that on a card. Now, as always, these calendars are made of the most gorgeous card, really good, thick quality. And we have a bonus this year. We have a little image on the base. Look, I am struggling, obviously. I've only got a certain amount I can get in on my camera. So again, I do apologise. I'm just sat here in my craft room. No fancy studio, I'm afraid. Just me, my little craft room. Well, and Derek sat on the floor here. So each page, look, has a beautiful design at the base. How oh look, gotta have the mice. How fabulous is that? Now it might be you use that as an inspiration and go with that on your main design. Well, there you go. That could help if Mr. Mojo goes, couldn't it? Now for me, I'm not brave enough, and this is where I'm always honest with you, my lovely crafty friends. I'm not brave enough to do a design straight on here. I have so little confidence in it. So what I tend to do is I cut a piece of card, a similar sort of size, and I have a practice with what I think, and then I can see if it will look good. Now, if you're happy doing it straight on the calendar, you go for it. As I always say, you go for it. But for me, I just cut a piece of card. Now this one is 7.5 inches wide by 5.5. So it's 5.5 by 7.5 inches. And for me, that's just my practice piece. Because for January, I just fancied a lovely sort of moody sky and some trees. But again, there are so many things you can do, and I can't wait to see what you put on your pages. I'm sort of going festive, but January, we've gone over Christmas, haven't we? Start of the year. It might be you want a complete new start. Whatever you want to do, you have a go. So this is my sort of idea that I'm going off. But also for me, I've got a design here ready for a card. And I'm actually thinking if I need a card for a male friend in the winter months, December birthday card, I think that's fabulous. So the first thing I'm going to do, some low tack tape, and I'm going to start at the top, and I'm just going to pop it right across the top here. Sorry, excuse me. And this is our Lavinia low tack tape. And again, you can decide how far. I'm thinking I'm going to go there. And for me, I just want a nice border. You could make the design come right to the edge if you want. As I say, totally your choice. I just love sort of a nice, clean and simple white border. Again, it's just one of the things. But the beauty of this calendar is, I mean, if it's for you, you can make it with your favourite designs. If it's for a crafty friend, you can use their favourite designs, favourite stamps. Honestly, so many possibilities. Now, I'm just going to put a couple of bits of copier paper under my design, just because I just find if I'm putting ink, and I just feel it's a little bit more cushioning, but again, that's just something about me. Again, we go with our little quirks, don't we? And I'm going to come in with some Elements inks, and the ones I've gone for, the main one is confetti, but I'm going to bring in a little bit of paprika. I told you, it's like cooking, and a little bit of violet chalk, and possibly some graphite. So I'm going to start with my confetti. And I've got a brush here with confetti on, as it were. And again, dabbing off in the lid. And I'm just going to start on my masking tape and then bring some confetti into the sky. And I'm just going to blend, and I'm coming further in as I've got less ink on my stencil brush, look. And again, the same again in this corner, start in the corner, and this is such a lovely colour. And then as I've got less ink, I can go into the middle of my design. But I'm also going to come down at the base. But again, only when I've got less ink. I want it light down there. I will blend this a bit more. And again, often when you think you've got no ink left on your brush, that's a great time to just blend that ink around. And the one thing I will say, don't be too hard on yourself with this. Don't expect perfect blending. We're actually, you know, we're sort of moving this along. Again, this is the paprika now, and I'm going to start in the corners, and I want this at the top. So I'm going to go right along the top. And again, sort of circular motions. Always start in my corners because I want them deeper. And that will give a lovely contrast when I take the tape off with the white. And then what I want to do is come in with my violet chalk. Now I warn you, this, we're going to come in from the side. This doesn't look an automatic blend. And it almost looks a little bit muddy. But it does give me those almost purple tones that I want. And often you'll find when you're doing something like this, you almost have to go with it. And it's at the end that you realise, if I bring in the finished one, look, I wanted almost that sort of hazy purple across there. And that's what we're creating. But it is one of those that as you're doing it, you're thinking, oh, should I have really done this? It looks a bit muddy. But trust me, she says. And again, you can add as much or as little as you want. And it's just this lovely purpley tone. And I'm just doing circular motions, look, just blending. I'm hoping it doesn't mess with your head. Just take it a bit more up here. And into that. Right, I think that's enough with that. So just with the paprika, I'll come in now and just blend it a little bit into that purple. And then I'm going to come back with my confetti and just add a little bit of confetti just on the bottom edge of the purple here. And I'm just picking it up off the lid. The beauty of dabbing it on the lid, look, it's there to pick it up. And just to bring the pink tones, can you see at the bottom how that's just, let me see, can you see how it's just bringing in here that little bit of pink? And again, we're letting that ink work, letting our stencil brushes work, and using every bit of ink off that stencil brush. There's a reason I don't wash my stencil brushes, because there's no need. What I do want to do at the base is just bring in a little bit of graphite, and I'm using my smaller stencil brush for this, just because it'll give me a nice, neat little edge at the bottom. And it'll almost ground the whole design. Now again, January, I'm not particularly thinking of, I'm going to add a little bit of almost snow, but I'm not thinking it's a complete snowy design. I almost want to make a generic, just that lovely sort of wintry scene. But also I love to do designs like this, that if you wanted to add snow on the ground, you could. I'm going to stop there. I can always add some more later. I do find the small stencil brush perfect for this. I'll put those out of the way. And we'll add some stamping now. So I'm just going to turn it slightly to the side. And I want to come in with these lovely red pine large and small stamps. And I think they're perfect for this. I'm going to use my VersaFine Claire. Now, the other thing that it's important to do is get myself a piece of copy paper. And I need to cover. So what I'm going to do is fold it in half. And then almost slide it up, look. Because it's really important I cover this bottom bit of the here where I'm leaning, because otherwise if I've got ink or something on here on my hand, the last thing I want is to get ink on there. So we're going to protect that with this lovely folded piece of copy paper. Right, VersaFine Claire. I've gone for a couple of colours that I think I'll go with those almost pinky and purpley tones. So Charming Pink and Fantasia. And with these lovely red pine, I'm going to use my Charming Pink. And I'm going to start with the large one. And we'll have one. And with it being the lighter colour, the pink, it will knock these into the distance, which will just help build up a bit of perspective in our scene. And I don't want it to be too symmetrical, so I'm going to put this one stamping off the page onto the tape. And then I will just add another one here and a second generation. And then we'll come in with the smaller one. And we'll just add a couple, again staying with the pink, I'll add a couple of the smaller ones on this side. Like I say, so it's not too symmetrical. Now at this point, if I'm not sure what to use, what I actually did was I got my acetate. I've got two more lovely stamps here, the fir tree and the small fairy fir tree. And what I did was I got my acetate and had a little look, because I wanted almost a focal point, but I just thought I didn't want it mid-centre. So I'm thinking if I put that there, so I want it to sort of be a mixture of my trees. So again, your acetate, do remember. So we have got a few lovely new crafters joining us. Your acetate is perfect to just have a look how things will look. Now this one, I want to be my main focal point. So I'm actually going to stamp this in black. I want a little bit of black. So I'm just thinking, just going to put this here. And again, I'm just going to give it a wipe. So again, I'm wiping them all with my Inky Binky just before I take them off. And then we'll come in with our small fairy fir tree and we'll go to the purpley colour, the Fantasia. And again, I think we'll have some first and second generation. Let's have maybe a tall one there and then a small one here. Maybe just one behind. And let's do the same again here. Maybe just a cheeky third generation there to bring the purple over this side. And I'm thinking just one there, and then maybe just a little cheeky in that corner. So if I turn that round, can you see now how that's really built up well? And I'm just going to get another piece of copy paper, she says, again filing everything on the floor, and I'm just going to give that a blot. It's a slower drying ink, and I don't want to smudge it when I do my next bit. Oh look, a gel press piece. Because we do keep our copy paper, don't we? Well, I do, reuse it again and again. So let's add the moon to this. So I'm going to come in with my acetate circle mask. And I'm thinking there, you see, I could spotlight, do a bit of a highlight there. Oh, what do you think? I quite like that. See, now, choices, or do I go, no, I'm going to stick with my, go there. And I'm going to use the lovely Brilliance, the Moonlight White for this. And again, I've got a small stencil brush. And this one, look, I've written white. This is my white. So I know that this is for my white. And I keep this purely for the white. And this makes I could have masked off my moon and left the card white. But I almost wanted that, you know when we almost get like that frosty sort of moon and it's not definite white? That's the look I want to go for. So that's why I'm adding my Brilliance ink pad after. And I'm literally just adding some ink and I'm just going round the tree. And it's all right if I go over slightly over the ink, because again, it almost looks like that frosty look. That frosty glow, we can just add a little bit, look, just go slightly. And we almost want it a bit mottled. Right, let's have a look how that's looking. Oh, I like that. And then I'm just going to add a little bit more. Just catching the top, look. Top of these trees. And a bit more on this one. As I say, just that. And if you wanted to add a little bit of sort of a misty look at the base, look, it's lovely to just that sort of frosty, misty look. We'll add a little bit on here. And just a little bit down this side where the moonlight's just catching it. Now again, do make sure you put this plastic piece back on. Don't lose that, will you? And again, as always, wipe your moon mask before you put it away. You don't want the ink drying on. It's an archival. We don't want it to dry on. Let's just wipe it off. There we go. Now, I'm thinking let's add some water splats. So my fan brush is in my water pot. And I'm going to take that over the archival, the Brilliance, and it will react with it. And it just gives a lovely, lovely effect. Now, depending on how much water bleaching you want, depends on how long you leave it. So if you think you've had enough, look, you can dab. Just want a little bit more in that corner. So we can add, and obviously what the darker ink will show it will show up more. There we go. Now that's lovely. I like that. I'm really happy with that. So what I'm going to do is bring in my heat tool, my Heat It Up Ranger tool. And this is two reasons. One, it's going to dry that lovely faux bleaching that we've done. But also it will help. I mean, the Lavinia low tack tape is perfect and will peel off no problem. But what this does is it just melts some of that glue and makes it even easier to peel off. So I can lift this and then look. I love this reveal. Now I am going to add some white posca splats, but I like mine to go off the page. If you want to keep them just in the design, you would add them before taking the tape off. But I actually want mine to go over the whole thing. And look, I'm really happy with that. I love that. So what I'm actually going to do is, before I do my white posca, I want to add some Stickles. So this is crystal. And I'm just going to do a bit of dotting and dabbing. So I'm just going to dot a little bit on my trees. And with my finger, I'm just going to dab a little. I don't want too much, but you've got to have a bit of sparkle in your calendar. So I'll go along, just doing a bit of dot and dab. And just dab that glitter exactly where we want it. Up and down the tree. I don't want too much. And this way I get it exactly where I want it. Because you've got to have a bit of sparkle for January. Give that finger a wipe. And I think that is, oh, I'm so happy with that. So I can remove this But what I am thinking, to tie the colour in, look, we could add a little bit of colour in her wings. So I'm just going to grab myself a little brush. And again, I do this. So I'm just trying to find some space. So let's go for the confetti. And again, I'm using a smaller brush. I just think this would tie in, and just very lightly. Now you could use your colouring pencils for this, but I just love using these little brushes, and that just gives a hint. So we'll pop that there, and then we'll come in with the graphite, look. And we'll just ground a little bit of graphite under her legs, look, and under her bottom. Just enough so she's just sitting there, and then we'll give her a bit of sparkle on her wings. Again, a little bit of dot and dab. And that there, to me, will just bring in our lovely fairy. So, time for some posca. Remember, shake your posca, a good shake. And then I'm just going to tap it with my lovely stencil brush. And this is just some added, we've got the faux bleaching, but I just want some added posca. Little flurry. And again, we'll put it over the moon. And that'll just add that lovely flourish. And I'm just going to come down here and add a little bit over my fairy, just to bring it into the whole design. Let's move that copy paper out of the way, file it on the floor, and there we have it. So there's our little fairy at the bottom, just so she tones in nicely, and there's my design for January. So that's January done. I can't wait. I might even do February tomorrow. Now I've done January, I want to get on with February. So I'm hoping you'll get your calendar, and please share. Please let us see what you're doing, because it'll give other people ideas. And also, look, I've got myself a spare card, look. So thank you very much for popping in. You take care, and thank you for all your feedback. Honestly, I really appreciate it. Love and hugs from me. Bye for now.